Hey, hello everybody. It's Kelly Commander from K2 Creative back again with Dorit Sasson. I did not get enough out of the first video that we recorded with SEO information. And I said, you know what, we need to do a second video and ask some more questions. So we're back again with Dorit, SEO Business Magic. Dorit, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, happy to. I do optimization, which is a fancy term of saying I get businesses noticed through Google and all the search engine stuff that when people are Googling to make sure that they're actually on that page for those search terms. And I help increase conversions and get more traffic using smart SEO content techniques.
That is awesome. That's just something I think that is very underused and underrated when it comes to people creating a website and just tossing words on a page and not really knowing what they should be focused on. Since we talked last, I actually made a little list of questions that I had to ask you because you made me think of a lot more things that I should know and that all business owners and entrepreneurs should know about SEO. So tell me a little bit about what kind of companies and businesses are like your niche, or do you typically do SEO work for? Is there such a thing as a niche, or is it something that you just do for everybody?
Yeah. At this point, I am just riding the wave of curiosity and versatility, meaning I am happy to jump in the trenches and work with any type of B2B, B2C type company, small, medium, large corporation, because the work is real. It's not really the company so much. It's not the niche so much. It's being able to implement the skills and apply them to any SEO type optimization situation. So and help further their goals. So their goals might be very specific to a web page or to a conversion or to get known for a certain brand or service. And those are just regular SEO type skills that you need, and theory, SEO theory, which is really important for helping them gain that visibility.
Okay. See, I learned something new every time I talk to you. That makes total sense. So you were saying, in other words, you could do work for a business coach, you could do work for a dentist office.
Right.
Just about anybody who,
and
really they have to have somewhat of an understanding, or they have to be willing for you to educate them on what you do.
This is something I didn't get to answer in the way I wanted to for the first video that we did, is really the resistance is high. There's a resistance there. And I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. Whenever you're dealing with somebody who's new to SEO, and it typically takes a lot of massaging, there's a team discussion, it's not something right away. So my work is really educating. A lot of the times before even a contract is signed, I spend time answering questions, walking them through my process so that they understand that there's a process, because if they're handing over certain budgeted money that's allocated for SEO specifically, they're like, well, what is this going to be used for? How are you going to give us the deliverables? So I make sure that I use my theory to explain the process, because that is typically what they don't understand. They know a little bit about SEO, but not enough to understand the process. So it's really important that I do good justice to that.
That's true. It's like a due diligence thing for them and for you, because if someone comes to the owner of the business, say the marketing person comes to the owner of the business and says, I want to bring in an SEO specialist, they're going to want to know, how much am I spending and what am I getting for that money? Right. They're going to want a timetable, which we talked about timing the last time, that it's a long process. It takes time for you to figure these things out, because
it does. And there's also a process of adjustment and tweaking. If something's not working, you need to be able to read Google Analytics and tweak certain things that are in their internal data and make those changes on the front end and also in the back end, which is where things get optimized, right? And hopefully things start to move and you're able to see a rate of return, and that there's certain spike in traffic on certain key pages. And that I've seen that, because of testimonials that I've done for certain clients, and they come back and they say, wow, this page, we never had that much spike around that page and that product. That means that the theory and the practice and the process are moving along.
Yeah, and that's right there, just seeing increases and numbers go up is just the proof that people need that what you do works, but there's a process to it. That makes total sense.
There is a process, and some of it is technical, like it can get technical, but I try to use my teaching training background and never take any of their background knowledge for granted. Most of the times it's somebody internal that understands SEO and wants to have that conversation and asks specific related questions. And sometimes it's not. And I have to be prepared for all those case scenarios.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That really does. And I also have another question, because I know that there's different things that you do, for lack of a better term. So what SEO business services do you provide? Can you break that down for us with just a couple categories? I
will be more than happy to. So I do the keyword research analysis and competitive research, which is really, understanding profiling the target audience, understanding who that is, asking questions about that person, that target audience. Then I actually start to compare the target audience with other companies to see, or brands, to see how it's different, how it's the same. I start the whole process with an intake form. So the work that I do is there's different packages. One is the keyword research type package. The other package is the on-page or optimization package, which utilizes the research and the findings to help optimize more efficiently, more tailored, if you want to say, specific pages to their product or brand, or is it an entire website optimization that we're looking at, which typically can be very, very costly, and there's not a huge return on investment on that because it's a lot of work. And then there's the consulting package, where I really step in and I am used as a consultant as needed to help strategize certain things that they need to work on and work through. And that's usually on a retainer basis.
Okay. That's a good outline and just some general information as to what you offer as a business SEO specialist. One more question. If I were to get started with wanting to do SEO, what is the first step to working with you? Tell us how. Obviously everybody can go to doritsassen.com. They can book an appointment with you for a consultation. But what do you suggest the prep work that the client might do first before they even engage you?
Usually this is a team decision. It's usually not one person acting on behalf of one's own interests. If it's a solopreneur, then yes. But the companies that typically hire me have a team effort going on. So, they typically think it through as far as their goals, what they want to see happen with certain pages. They've reached kind of a certain pain point. Their pain points are they're not getting enough traffic. They can see high bounce rates, which is the percentage of visitors dropping off after a certain time, and it's now higher and higher. And there's no call to action. There's no click-through rates, or they're very low, and they're feeling really discouraged by that. So before they get into the specifics of how we would work together, it's really about looking at the whole picture, looking at the whole thing, and making that decision whether or not it's worth having that conversation. If it's a person who is a solopreneur and they have a specific product or service that they're really pushing to optimize within a certain timeline, is really to see, how soon do I need this? So it's more like a timeline, or, what do I need to do to get this working? If they don't have a website, then there's no SEO, right? So if they don't have the infrastructure for that, they don't have that groundwork, then they can't do the next step, right? Or if they don't have a good looking website, they need a designer. So all of that needs to be in place when they're deciding whether to go forward.
That makes sense. You mentioned the pain points too, and I have heard a lot of talk about bounce rates, and I think that that's something important that people don't understand, because that bounce rate is not only the time that they're on a website, but do they go to another page? Do they click one time, they enter whatever page they clicked on your website, and then they leave? Or
Right.
are they interested, and do they pull down your drop down and look for other products, services, whatever you have to offer? So that is important to keep that bounce rate low and keep people on your website as
Right.
long as possible.
Right. And really having the idea of where they want their prospects to go, right? If they don't have, and I mentioned website as infrastructure, but it's also where is the sales funnel leading them to, right? Is there a process? What do we want them to do? Is there a certain number of pages that we want to optimize? Sometimes they don't know this information right off the bat, and it takes them time. So they have to kind of get their back end in order, because they want to be prepared to have a conversation and not beat around the bush, but they're also wanting to have, somebody give them input and tell them exactly where to go with certain things. And so they don't always have that SEO insider knowledge.
That's great information. I can't think of anything else to cover today, but once I absorb all of this, I think that I'll have even more questions, and we'll have to regroup. I'll have to take some more of your time and regroup and redo this. Anybody who's interested in learning about SEO or getting SEO optimization for your business, go to doritsassen.com, check out her website, her blog. You have a ton of information on there to help guide people and even to kind of figure out what they may need from you. And you also offer a free consultation, correct?
There you go. So it's really a no-brainer for people who want to get started and just need a little bit of time with me to understand where we can go together, how I can help.
That's perfect. Thanks for your time today, Dorit. I really appreciate it. It's always fun.
Yeah, I'm always happy to share with you everything that I can share in a 10 or 15 minutes time.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time.